G'day guys, Ben here from Solar & Sat, and we've got yet another Willow Caravan joining the 1000 watt solar club. So we've got 1180 watts of solar up there, a 320 amp hour lithium battery bank, 3 kVA multi-plus inverter, and some extra special features due to the Turbo GX we've installed. Let's go take a look. This here is brand new from the dealership, and we've installed this system prior to the customer even taking collection. Now, what we actually have fitted is what we call the 3000P, and the customers have made a couple small modifications to it, including additional solar and the water tank sensing upgrade, and I'll touch more on that shortly. So what they've actually got is a 320 amp hour lithium battery bank from Victron, a 3000 VA multi-plus inverter charger, an 85 amp solar controller. Now that'll take care of the 1180 watts of solar we've installed. A lot of people go, why do we put so much solar on these caravans? And the reason for that here is these customers have decided they want to run their aircon primarily during the daytime, which is normally when it's hottest, obviously. And with that much solar up there, they'll find that when they're running their aircon, they'll almost be breaking even in terms of how much power the aircon's using and how much power they're producing. So they've got hours and hours of aircon usage during the daytime. Not infinite, mind you, there's not quite enough room on the roof for it to be infinite, but they've got a good few hours of aircon usage throughout the day, especially when it's hottest, you know, anywhere from that 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And with 320 amp hours of lithium, they'll buy themselves 2 or 3 hours of aircon usage at night, which should keep them pretty happy and pretty comfortable. Now we've got the servo monitoring system in here. This is one of those touchscreen displays, and that gives them just a nice overview, really easy to understand in terms of how much power they're making, using, and how much power is in their battery bank. And we've also run the water tank sensors through that as well. So they go to one location to see how full their tanks are, how full their batteries are, all the primary things you need to know when you're off grid, away from power, away from water, all that sort of stuff. Now we've also got a DC-DC charger in here. In the event you haven't got some good weather, like today, there's clouds everywhere, it means when you're driving along, you're also getting a charge off the tow vehicle as well. Alright, now we've spaced this system out a fair bit, and this is to allow for cooling, especially during the daytime. If it's 40 degrees out, which heck, it gets even hotter than that in Australia sometimes, we really need to allow adequate space around all the chargers and units so that when they are running their aircon, it might be 20 degrees inside, but if it's 40 degrees under here, there's going to be performance throttling and things like that. So to help prevent that, we've laser cut some vents in here. We've put one on the side over here where there's a fan attached to it, and then just another one here for it to draw air in, and that should pull that air conditioned air through this area in here. We've also taken advantage of the factory joinery. We've got this board here that we grabbed from the dealership and used that to join our system off and separate it from a little storage area here, so they still have a little bit of storage under their bed. Of course, when you go a system of this sort of size, it's not magic. You still need to take up a little bit of space for the components and things, but I think you got a little bit of storage here on the bed. You can put a couple bulky items, and the rest of it's dedicated to the power system. I think for the amount of power they've got in this area, we've utilized our space fairly well. They've still got access to their pump if they need to get to it. I'm quite happy with the amount of space it's taken up here, and you've got easy access to all the fusing. So we've got a few MIDI fuses down here, which if they ever blow, they can easily access from above. And of course, the Lynx distributor here holds 4 mega fuses, which all it takes is a Phillips head screwdriver, 13mm spanner, and you can change those mega fuses over if you have to, if something's gone wrong somehow when you're out and about. Now that we've checked out everything here under the bed, the business side of things, let's check out how we control it all up at the servo touchscreen. Just a quick reminder that we are national distributors of all Victron Energy and Shervy solar products. So whether you be an end user or you want to buy wholesale for your own business, make sure you check out our website. Alright, up here we've got the touchscreen display. Now this is probably our customer's favorite area, but what we've got here is we've got the battery percentage, what we're using at DC, what we're producing from the solar, and what we're using at AC, so 240. Now the idea here is always talks in watts, which is nice because a watt is a watt no matter what. Now the reason I say that is when you're talking a 12 volt battery bank, an amp at 12 volt is not an amp at 240 volt. In fact, 20 amps at 12 volt is roughly an amp at 240 volt. And we're running 40 volts of solar, which means that's the same as about half an amp at 40 volt. It starts to get pretty difficult to keep track of how much power you're making and using in amps. So by talking in watts, it means if you're producing 100 watts, you're using 50 watts at 12 volt and using 6 watts at 240 volt, you can still clearly see that you're producing about a surplus of 30 watts. So it makes it much simpler for the average person to look at and get a clear understanding. You can clearly see we're making more than we're using. It makes it a lot easier to follow. Aside from that, if we flick along here, we can see our water tank sensing. So this here is a percentage-based setup rather than your old 1/3, 2/3 full sort of setup like your traditional water tank sensors. It gives you a much more accurate reading, and we can see the fresh and the grey right here on one screen. I'd say it's much more accurate in terms of it's probably close to 10%, probably a little bit less in terms of accuracy, compared to your old ones, which can be out by as much as 30% really. So we flick along. This is where we turn the 240 on and off, so we can turn the inverter on and off through the touchscreen here. We can control how much power we want to come in from AC. This is just an overview here with a couple of alerts. That's pretty much everything there. But these touchscreens too, paired up to make the touchscreen work, obviously we fit a Serbo GX. Now what those do is they do a lot more than just show you the display. They give you a fantastic overview and they control all of your components. Now what I mean by that is if you plug in some temperature sensors, as we've done on this one, what the fans do is as it gets hot, the fans kick in. They don't just kick in under load like we do on some of the simpler systems. So when you're not getting a servo, what we do, because you always want active ventilation when you go a system of this size, is we just have the fans turn on when the inverter turns on, which works pretty well, like it keeps the system cool. But let's just say you're just charging your laptop or an electric toothbrush. Do you really want to hear your fan humming away just to use 50 watts? It's probably not a big thing, but it's something there that you're sitting there and you can hear that fan running. When you've got a servo, what it does though is it waits until it actually gets hot and then the fan kicks in. Likewise, if you're out in the middle of the Simpson Desert, as an example, and it's really hot even though you're not running much, you still want the fans going so all your chargers are working optimally, so that it kicks it in under a much more useful setting, because temperature is obviously what we're trying to avoid. The fact that temperature controls it directly is fantastic. It also allows for remote monitoring. So obviously Solar and Sat ourselves, we're based here in Queensland. If you're going on a big lap of Australia and you're out in WA, and let's just say you're doing something out there and you pop a fuse for whatever reason, you can call us up and I can remote in here from Queensland and I can guide you to the correct location, the correct fuse, perhaps tell you why it's blown, or I can tell you why there's an issue or fault diagnose or anything like that completely remotely. Normally it's user error, but in the event it's not, we can easily tell you what it is and we can guide you with what you might have to do to get the problem rectified or tell you where to go and things like that. It just means that you've got peace of mind that in the unlikely event of a fault, you can just call us up and we can identify the issue pretty well straight away. And also, of course, with these Victron systems, just by design, there is a massive level of redundancy built in. So let's just say that your battery system died, packed it in for whatever reason. That means you're without your batteries. You could basically take them out of the caravan. Your solar system will actually run all of your loads directly because it works as a power supply. So provided you got sun, your fridge will actually still be on, you can still run your lights, you can still use your pump. Now let's say that died. If you start your vehicle, your DC-DC also acts like a power supply. So as long as you start your car, once again, fridge is running, lights are on, you can use your pump. So it lets you sort of limp back to society, I suppose, to get something swapped over or an issue fixed in the unlikely event that something like that happened. Now normally if you're buying Victron, you're not going to be stressing over that sort of thing, but it just gives you an idea of how much reliability you've got when you buy into one of these setups. Alright, that's one more caravan where we've upgraded every corner of the electrical system. If you want to head off grid like these guys with peace of mind that it'll take you anywhere you want to go, anytime you want to go, swing by Solar and Sat and we'll get you sorted.